there has been the reason it's so misunderstood that the Mennonites come from the Amish is because over the last century, there's been a lot of Amish people that have left the Amish and went to Mennonite. So it looks as if the Mennonites come from the Amish due to that reason of the people leaving.
Hey, welcome back to Thought Process. I'm your host, Shawn Wayne. And over here you have your host, Dylan Hall. How you doing today, Dylan?
Good.
Good deal. We have a special guest today. He comes from the Mennonite group, and he is here to... Okay, I'll start off with this. Everywhere I go, because I work in the organization, the Yoders organization, and Yoders is tied to a lot of Amish. Or so people assume so. So as I get down so as I get to places like, let's just say for an example, a gas station, and they're like, hey, who do you if the conversation goes that direction and they ask who I work for, I always say Yoders organization right down the road, and they always say, oh, you work for the Amish. Or there's a lot of people that do that. And I'm like, no, they're yeah. Dylan, actually.
That was me. I did that too.
Yeah. So they're actually different. Mennonites are different from the Amish. And I wanted to, and it's very hard to, explain that kind of stuff, especially when you only know a little bit about Mennonite and Amish stuff like me, because I haven't really researched a lot of it. But here today to clear his name is Clinton Yoder.
What's up, guys? What's up? Excited to be here. Really am.
It's also your boss.
He is also my boss.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I would say I'm his boss. He kind of does what he wants. No, I'm just kidding.
The reason all of this is here is because of him.
Well, let's say this. When it comes to podcast-related things, I would say Shawn is my boss.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Oh no, we are taking on. How would you say this? We are taking on this journey together.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
That works.
Me, you, and the old grateful Corey. We love Corey. He's a great guy. He's also the host or the co-host of Yoders Talk, and right over here in this camera is your host of Yoders Talk.
Absolutely. They
just crossed 94,000 subscribers.
It's somewhere. It's 90-something thousand.
Almost
somewhere
100.
Yep. We're going to get there this season, I think.
It's crazy. That is absolutely insane.
A year ago we never dreamt that it'd be even close to what it is, but it's what it is. I don't know. I mean,
so how has that affected you as like a Mennonite going from a YouTube channel? We literally started the YouTube channel in October
of last year.
Yeah.
Like 2023.
And seeing the traction that takes off, and you're literally about like, there's a possibility that we could go to sleep tonight, wake up in the morning, and you'll be over 100,000 subscribers.
What, man, I'll be honest, like I never understood, I guess, being raised Mennonite, a lot of people picture us as very, I guess, not educated when it comes to electronic and social media and things of that nature. For me personally, growing up, it was something that we kind of just did. We kind of, Mennonites are not as strict when it comes to that side of things as what most people would think they are. But I will say this, that I never imagined that there would be 90-something thousand people that would want to hear what this little Mennonite kid has to say.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I've seen what YouTube and things of that nature can do by just spending time on YouTube, but I never would have ever imagined that somebody raised the way I would ever be able to have a podcast at 100,000 subscribers. Now, it's not something in our church's or our belief where it's something we shouldn't do. The Mennonite people are actually more open to sharing their beliefs than a lot of the Amish groups, I would say.
Yeah, a little less reserved.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, Shawn. That's a great question. I mean, I really haven't really digested it yet, I would say.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're only a year into this.
Yeah. Corey's the same way. Corey, has to, me and Corey we talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, Corey just says it like it's casual. And me being in the YouTube realm and mine's about my channel's about to cross over 10,000 subscribers. Mm-hmm. We could literally go to sleep tonight and be 10,000 in the morning,
which is amazing in itself. I mean, let's be honest. Getting 10,000 subscribers is no small task.
No. Yeah, it's very hard.
Right,
we've grinded.
Right, exactly.
And so getting to that point, I look at my channel before looking at the RPM that your channel runs at, and a lot of that, because you guys are consistent, and
right.
and I'm happy to be a part of this, mm-hmm. but you guys are consistent. You have a purpose behind it, mm-hmm. and we don't do the same thing, but we're on people know what your podcast is
mm-hmm.
about.
Yeah,
they subscribe. They know what the next episode could potentially be
right.
rounded around. When it comes to my channel, it's hard to know what Shawn's going to do next because
rolling the dice.
Yeah, him and Dylan are putting on a marathon January 3rd.
Right.
Is
it? Does it make it easier, or is it more enjoyable when you really kind of take it with how it comes, I guess you would say?
So,
or is the structure of a channel like having it repeatable topics, repeatable videos, things that you like? If you're a mechanic and you have a channel, you do mechanic work.
So I always call it safe, like YouTube safe zone. So mm-hmm. like how that works is like what your channel is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So your channel has a purpose mm-hmm. and it has a subject, and you stick with that thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what your channel is for. People come to your channel, they know what they're getting themselves into. They know they subscribe to this channel. That's what they're getting. Mm-hmm. And every now and then we'll hit different topics and stuff, but it's usually pretty much not pretty much the same thing. It's pretty much like
it's based off the same thing.
Yes.
Lead with purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
My channel, however, I went from gaming. And it's not same games either. Mm-hmm. Like we won't play like popular games, and we'll play games that people don't even know about.
Yeah.
We'll play popular games. I'll vlog. And that's a big thing. Like some people just create vlog channels, and some people just create short channels, and so on and so forth. Everything that I do is pushed into this one channel, and it's worked out okay for us, mm-hmm. Because that's just how I've always been. I've always been all over the place, but you guys know that. My personality is like you'll see me pull up in a cop car, and you'll see me pull up in a Mustang, and then I'll pull up and I'll be walking the next day. You just never know. But yeah, it's really worked out for my channel's really worked out because we got monetized pretty early on. Mm-hmm. I actually so I had a motovlog channel before, and it was all like motorcycle riding and talking to the camera, and you're just talking to your audience. And I took this channel, which is the Shawn Wayne. It used to be the Shawn Wayne. It's just Shawn Wayne now. But the Shawn Wayne. Yeah. It used to be the Shawn Wayne, and it was all one word, and it was a vlog channel, right? Mm-hmm. It was a vlog channel to my motovlog channel. And so I was just posting random videos. So this channel did better than my motovlog channel ever did. My motovlog channel was up for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And so that was crazy in itself. So I started sticking with like vlogs and stuff, and that's where this channel like birthed from.
Yeah, I got you.
So
cool.
So that's kind of the story behind that. But seeing the channels, like to me, like gaining subscribers and stuff, I felt like was different with you guys because I've been a part of this whole situation for 7 years, Dylan. I mean, it's been a long time.
Well, do you think the reason our channel grew so much is due to the name itself, Yoder? That being involved, and the reason I say that is, talking about the Mennonite and Amish. There's some Amish people that have left the Amish culture, no longer are Amish, that have started channels based about the Amish and blew up overnight. And everybody knows Yoder is a very common Mennonite Amish name. I don't know. That thought's always crossed my mind is, just like y'all are interested in the history of it, so are others.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that yes, but only because I seen the influence that you guys have. And that's why I asked, when we was talking, I was like, you guys need a podcast.
Right.
Like, I think it would benefit you guys well. And I had just come off like a what do you say, Dylan? It was like a vlogging series of events that me and you did on YouTube, and I can't even remember what it was. But I was making a little bit of money on the YouTube side of it, and that's where I'm in my headset. Because remember, I come in and I was like, I hit you with I hit you with a ton of bricks right out the get go, but I was like, dude, we could go across the road and build this track, do all this, and we were all like, dude, yeah, yeah. And so, I had just come off that hiatus where we were filming all the time, and I could see the benefit in it, and then the influence you guys had. I was thinking, your guys I knew the channel would grow fast just because of the influence you guys have.
Right.
And you could see that with your Facebook pages. Both pages are monetized. They're up they're up there with big pages, and they have a big following. And I was more like, hey guys, you guys, if you can figure out something that you can talk about on a podcast, it could benefit you in the long run and bring in monetization. I know that's not what it's about, but it could benefit in the long run with the monetization that comes in, and it could help fund different other activities that you guys want to do, around the organization itself, metal and woodworks and stuff like that.
Right. And fund a bigger outreach.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's that. Yeah.
Reinvest.
And what's so crazy about all of it is what it has led to, like opportunities and, the Africa ordeal. We went to a business conference. We put on a business conference in Africa. I mean, come on. And that's 100% birthed out of the podcast. 100% birthed out of the podcast. And, that business conference 2.0 is coming up this next fall. And the goal is 2,500 African Ugandan business owners at it. I mean, it's birthed out of this. I mean, come on, out of a channel, on YouTube.
Yeah, it's hard to think where it would take you because you don't know in the beginning where you'll end up.
Yeah.
And then, like with me and Shawn, we've pushed all kinds of content, but we're constantly trying to push content, so there's stuff out there to watch, and it's it'll lead you down different paths, and we've had fun with it. So.
You get burned out at times. I know I did. Last season I got burned out. I'll just be honest. Recording every week and everything, it burned me out just a little bit. But then I realized something, that you can have a choice. You have a choice. You can get burned out from a channel. If you get burned out, that means you're probably doing the channel for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Especially in our podcast. If I get burned out from my podcast, probably most likely I've leaked over to a side of what's the word? Doing it for my own attention.
Yeah.
That was when we created our channel, we made it very clear that it has to be God-centered and it has to be all about him getting the full glory of it. And
I like how you guys went into the channel as well. Like the way you guys went into it, it was like you guys had all of your flowers in one bundle. Does that make sense? And you guys were ready. And so, because we sat there, we talked 2 weeks about it. We sat there and talked about what the benefits were, what the the monetization would look like, and we were crunching numbers, what kind of microphones, cameras, and we set all this up before you know, we talked to Corey and all this, and then finally we like, all right, well, let's do this. And then everything come in, we start building the podcast, and then it started getting real. And then the first two podcast release, and subscribers just started moving, and it was just like, and I was like, in the back of my mind, like we're sitting in the office and we're talking about like it hit 1,000, and then it hit 1,400.
You remember I said if we hit 1,000 in the first year, I'll view that as a successful season.
Yeah, and then it hit like
successful
3,000.
Wasn't it one night it blew up over one night? It was like we jumped like 1,500 subscribers in one night, and we were like, "What?" We woke up to it. Like, what has just happened?
We come back to work, and everybody was like in the main office. Everybody was in the main office, and they're like, "Dude, look, it's like over blah 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 subscribers." We're like, "I know, this is insane.
We're famous."
But I was that's the influence that I talked about. I was like, there's the influence. Like because you know it was a lot of local, and then now it's
it's worldwide now.
Yeah.
I mean that's but
I think a lot of it probably is, like you said, the curiosity of it, like the aspect of not knowing this type of person, how they act, to get into detail and depths about it, because a lot of Amish are reserved. Like, you know, they don't have the technology. They don't get out there. They don't do it. And probably even the Mennonite side's probably more reserved to the
definitely,
side.
technology side.
I would say more than
your
typical, I guess you could, it sounds weird, typical American. I'm just as American as everybody, but you get what I'm saying. Like, but yeah, it's interesting, man. What's really crazy, and I know y'all probably experienced this, is when people talk to you about it. Like, I was over in a different state, and someone randomly came up to me and talked to me about it, and I've not yet figured out what to do. Yeah. Like I go to the Talladega Nights when he's talking to the reporters, and he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
I had an experience like that. So when we were hardcore rallying, like rally driving and stuff, we were out in Talladega Forest, and there was a big group ride going on down there as well. We knew about the group ride, but we weren't a part of that group ride. So we got the Focus out there, we got it unloaded, and the Focus, I'm not saying famous. I'm not saying it's famous by all means.
Right, absolutely, I understand.
But when you think of this, it seems that way. So we were out, like I said, there was a group ride going on, massive ride, and then there was us. We had a group, and it was called the Alabama Gambler 500. It's a real small thing. So we had like probably 10 to 20 cars out there. So we all got our cars off the trailers, got up, started driving or whatever, and I crossed this creek. This is like halfway into the ride or whatever. So the big group ride that's going on, that's like all over Facebook, everything that we knew about, is sitting across the creek. And I drove the Focus across the creek and pulled up. And my Focus has the YouTube channel linked all over it, or not really linked all over it, but it's got it on there. It's been all over YouTube. It's been recommended. Like, YouTube's been recommending the videos and stuff like that. And it's been on videos that are like have high view counts.
Right.
And so we get across the thing, and these two guys and this girl come over, and the girl was like, "Hey, I'm subscribed to I know this sounds crazy, but I'm subscribed to your channel, and I watch you. I've been watching all your videos for the past 2 weeks." And I was like, "No way." And she said, "Yeah, when I heard the Alabama Gambler was coming, because I watched your other Alabama Gambler videos, because we're interested in that stuff, I found your channel and started watching your stuff. This is insane that you're here." And I was like, "That's sick." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm a fan. That's pretty cool." So they took pictures with me, which I thought was pretty wild.
Right.
And then, we talked for a little bit, and then that was it. And we went on to our way, and that was my first interaction with that stuff.
Do you ever think about what it would be like if you were like Joe Rogan level podcaster? Like, would you want that level of attention?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Shawn would be good.
I probably wouldn't.
You know what I mean? Just wouldn't it get old though after a while? Like you would.
Everybody recognizes you.
Everybody recognized you could do nothing.
You're in
You
the
could
spotlight.
absolutely do nothing.
Get the magnifying glass.
Yes.
out.
Yeah.
There's Shawn. What's he doing?
Yeah.
Now, I think about this all the time. If something happens to my YouTube channel and it blows up and then like I'm getting recognized and all this, I think about it all the time. And a little part of me wants that. Like I want that to happen, but I want that to happen for collaboration reasons. So
yeah.
So if it happens, like let's just for an example, let's say my channel hits like 1 million subs, right? I got all these potential collaborations, and I've got all of these potential places that I can go, and people are going to offer, in my head I'm thinking people are going to offer like flights just for the exposure that I'm given to that, because I'm going to vlog it.
Yeah.
And then so I'm getting like flights to places for free, to these unbelievable places that we could go and like drive cars and get to drive, destroy cars and stuff like that. So that's the side of it that I feel I could handle. Now on the Joe Rogan side, like the Joe Rogan podcasting famous, how big he is, I don't know if I could necessarily handle that
pressure.
Yeah,
That
because
pressure,
that's a lot.
That
of pressure.
that is a lot.
The amount of reach and
And not only that, I mean,
influence
you have people trying to bury you all the time.
Yeah, that would be the hard thing.
You have people trying to bury you all the time.
the
and
negativity.
From my history, in the Mennonite culture and world and all that good stuff, I don't know, there's not really what you would call famous Mennonites. Now there are some. There's a guy, he's on TikToks. He's a Yoder. He's something Amish. He's an ex-Amish guy that's big on TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think sometimes that would be where it would get really tough for me, is because I'm used to being more reserved and not center of attention and I, to be honest, I like not being the center of attention.
Same. I'm saying.
So that would be where I would struggle, Shawn, is just let me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let me alone for a second.
Like the peace side. Like I enjoy the chaos. I enjoy doing videos and being out there and doing it like with Shawn, because it's fun, because it like gets me out of my comfort zone. But I'm a big peace person. Like the more peace, like I could just sit in silence, do nothing. Like I enjoy the peace too.
And you would about have to pay for that if you were at that level of like Joe Rogan level.
Yeah, you'd have to go somewhere else and hide. And you wouldn't have any peace.
Yeah.
I always compare Dylan to the like a Chevy, like a carbureted, cold-natured Chevy. Like you just got to warm it up before you go out and do anything.
Gotta get going.
Because we'll get over to Dylan's house when we used to film over there. We'd get over to his house, and I'd be like, "All right, Dylan, we're gonna go jump the berm behind your shop." And he's like, I gotta go over here and get my jack and like pull it over here, and then and then we'll go do a couple laps. And Dylan's like, "All right, I'm ready. Let's go."
Gotta get warmed up.
Yeah.
But Dylan's always been when he gets warmed up, he'll loosen up and he'll be just as crazy as me when it comes to stuff. Little more.
I gotta get
honed
past
in.
the logic in my head of this idea.
Yeah.
That while we're doing this,
Why are we doing this?
to get to that point of like we're just gonna have fun and
Just
be a
send
little
it.
carefree.
Yeah. So when it comes to social media and stuff, and seeing, so like if you crossed 100,000 subscribers tonight, how's that gonna make you feel on a real level?
On a real level, well, it's good. There's something in me and I don't want to get into business because I talk about it all the time, but I'm gonna say this: my business coach have been working on for a lot recently is the difference between being proud of and being prideful. Okay, see, there is kind of a difference. I would be proud of what we've accomplished. It's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want it to become a prideful thing. Hey, look at me! I got 100,000 subscribers on our channel.
Yeah.
But it would feel good. I would admit that. I mean, it would feel good. My son's excited because guess what comes with 100,000 subscribers?
Yeah.
Get your play button.
Get your play button. My son's more fired up about a play button than anything else. He don't care about his dad being on YouTube.
Well,
Well, I say that he's getting to a point that yeah, like the other day I found out that he's around telling people that, you know, my dad's on YouTube and he has a lot of subscribers. He's a YouTuber, and I'm like,
he's Honduras.
I'm like, hold up a second, son. I mean,
no, like YouTube buttons. I think the reason, like say the reaction that your son give, is because YouTube buttons are only seen in videos. Like nobody around here has a YouTube button,
and you can't just. I mean, you can. I think you can order knockoffs.
Yeah.
But
Pretend.
I mean, it's not legit. I mean,
yeah. So you can imagine, like your son is gonna see a YouTube. Like that's crazy.
Like
that's
and
hard
they're
to
big. Like for him, he's big into YouTube. Like
Yeah.
way more than I was at his age. Let's say that.
yeah.
Of course. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, we weren't
into none of that. So he sees, you know, KG is a big. I don't know if y'all know KG. He's a big YouTuber. He's big into hunting and all that stuff. Is KG? He's got like 3 million subscribers. And my son's big KG fan. Like he watches him. He's very clean. He's very interesting, to be honest. And he sees all that. He sees, you know, these play buttons that, you know, he's followed them all these years, and he's seen him get, you know, his $1 million or his million subscriber, not dollars, subscriber play button. So it's like he'll tell me what play button you get for how many subscribers, before I even knew what it was. And so it's a big deal to you know, these kids that follow these people. So
it's gonna be like, I would say when you show your son the play button, record it, and then because that's gonna be it's gonna be an insane reaction, because like I said, nobody sees those play buttons in person.
Right. It's only this YouTuber has it because of.
Yeah. So I'm a huge YouTuber, and I've never seen one in person.
Yeah.
And I've been around and collabed with a bunch of people.
And I'll be honest, I sit here and how easy it seemed for us to get it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will never probably understand the level of grind and the appreciation that people that have done YouTube for 10 years and they finally hit 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah. It's
I look at it and I'm like, you know, it about feels unfair in a sense.
I mean, we were excited about 1,000.
I remember.
Like, yes.
I remember me and Dylan were we were on FaceTime, and it was like 992, and me and him both had it up like on our screens, and it was like 995. I was like, "This is it, Dylan. Like this is it. I'm gonna sit here for 2 hours if it takes us 2 hours to hit 1,000." And it was like 1,002, and I was like, "Let's go!" Like we're screaming and we're on the phone with each other, and I was like, "We hit." 1,000 subscribers. This is insane. And then like I think a week later we filmed our 1,000 subscriber special, and we was already at 1,200 subscribers.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we're at I got it pulled up here at 94,110 subscribers. But you know what really impressed me probably more than anything is the amount of watch time and views we have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I looked the other day, I think it's just under 1.2 million views.
That's crazy.
With over like 50 or maybe it was 65,000 watch hours.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time. Do the math. It ended up being close to 6 years. Like if I sat and watched the amount of watch time, it'd take me 6 years to do it.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's a lot of reach.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, but anyway.
But So yeah, that's insane to think about, that you're gonna have a play button. So I'll get to see that play button, like, because I've never seen one.
He's not bringing it.
You'd imagine he keeps it up in his office.
Yeah,
he'll just send you.
I'll send a
pictures
picture.
of it
Yeah,
all
I'll bring
the
some photos.
Yeah.
in the truck, out hunting.
Take it with me everywhere.
In the
Like
shed.
that'd actually be a good video.
They'll be in there building sheds, and he'll have it with all them,
Well,
all his builders.
But Shawn will never see it.
Yeah.
We'll do a video of Shawn
Outside
trying to
his-
sneak around and see
outside
it.
his door.
trying to steal it, like trying to erase the name with the eraser or something.
Behind his back, holding it where he
Yeah.
know it's there.
We'll make some content with it. I think
Yeah,
that'd be funny.
awesome. So
But so on to the onto the Mennonite
Yes.
and Amish thing.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
History.
Yeah. So everybody, always like, oh, you work for the Amish, you do this, you do that, and it's like, no, I work for the Mennonites. So let's set the story straight today.
Okay, so what do you want to know?
Are you Amish or are you Mennonite?
Okay, well, I have never been Amish in my life. My father has never been Amish in his life. My mother's never been Amish in her life. So we are not Amish. Now, do we have family and history tied to the Amish? Probably, and yes.
Yeah, somewhere down the tree.
But we are not Amish, and there is a difference. Do you want me to go into the history of it?
Oh, absolutely.
His-
So with you not being Amish, what does that mean? Like, you say you have Amish?
Maybe.
Yeah. There's very likely I do have Amish family because over the years it has tied back in somewhat together.
Yeah.
There has been the reason it's so misunderstood that the Mennonites come from the Amish is because over the last century there's been a lot of Amish people that have left the Amish and went to Mennonite. So it looks as if the Mennonites come from the Amish due to that reason of the people leaving. Now, the basic beliefs, let's say the biblical beliefs, are very similar in a lot of ways, but the Mennonites are just extremely more modern. And the truth is, the Mennonites come before the Amish. The Amish are a branch off from the Mennonites. And the Mennonites come from the word Anabaptist. So does multiple other denominations in America today, like your Baptists, your Southern Baptists, you could just go down the list. They all tie back. So realistically, all these different denominations out there are not a crazy, or if you go back far enough, you're going to connect.
Yeah.
In some way. So you may have Mennonite. There is a chance you have Mennonite in your way background, or at least Anabaptist.
Yeah.
Way back. So Mennonite started in, and I got some notes here. So if I look down, I'm looking at some notes because there's a lot of history.
Yeah, you're fine.
So Mennonite started in the 16th century. I guess it was. Maybe it was the 15th century. Okay, it was formed. They trace back to the origin of the Anabaptist movement, which began in 1525 in Zurich, Switzerland.
Yeah.
So that is where the Anabaptists come from. Well, you ask, what's Anabaptist? Well, Anabaptist is basically, the Anabaptists were seen as radical for changing key tenets of both the Roman Catholic Church and the Protestant group. So basically, the way that where we originated from was back in 1525, the Roman Catholics and the Protestant were the main, I guess you could say, denomination, which they would say more of a actual faith. Roman Catholics are big about, their faith. They believe that their
ways is the chosen ways.
Is the chosen, correct? Yes,
yeah, because they're the oldest one.
Correct.
So.
Correct. So in that 1525, a man by the name of Menno Simons, he was a former Dutch Catholic priest, became a leader in the movement because he felt that the Roman Catholic group had fell away from what the Word of God truly was when it comes to non-resistance, when it comes to infant baptism. We can keep going down the list of things that they felt that and another thing is the Roman Catholic. Yes, the Roman Catholics had got so wrapped up in the government. That was another thing is they were so tied to the government that it became church and state were all one, and they didn't feel like that was really biblical either. So that's kind of where it, and you hear Menno Simons. So the group was named Mennonites after Menno Simons because of his, I guess you say he was a hero because of what he went through, the torture and the persecution he went through. So that's where the word Mennonites come from.
Yeah.
So
So it's a little bit like because they had a bunch of them come from, I guess, like you said, the Protestant Reformation. They come from away from the Catholics into what it is now.
That's
I'm
it.
Southern Baptist, so like I can follow that.
You get
that
it as well. So
timeline,
really,
yeah.
the Southern Baptists tie. If you study Southern Baptist history, they tie more back to Anabaptists than Bout. Well,
And I actually
Southern.
have Dutch in my lineage
There
too.
you go.
So
We may be cousins.
could be.
Very much.
So that's the Mennonite. That's where they call it the Reformation back in the 16th
the
century.
beginning.
Yeah, Reformation. Yeah. So that's where it started from. That's where the Mennonites came out of. And then Amish, they didn't get here, I guess you could say, until the 1600s.
It's another 1,000 years, pretty much.
No, 100 years.
100 years. Okay, I was thinking 15s.
15.
Then
It goes
the
by
16s.
100. So 1500,
Oh,
1600.
okay, yeah. I'm thinking too old.
So this guy by the name of Jacob, and I don't know how to say his last name, guys. They had weird last names back then.
Yeah.
He emerged. He was. They call it the Amish split of 1693.
Sounds like a war.
Yeah. So these were Mennonites people and this Jacob guy, was part of. He was a leader in one of the Mennonite communities, and he felt that the Mennonites were not strict enough to what they like their rules and the way they would approach somebody that fell into sin or something like that. He felt like they needed to rule with an iron fist.
Yeah.
More say
100% or nothing.
yes, but to the point that and when I say this is not downing Amish. There's many great God-fearing Amish out there. I do not want this to come across as I'm downing the
Just
Amish.
history.
This is strictly history, so bear with me. Don't destroy me after this. But so he emerged as he wanted stricter practices within the Mennonite community. Well, like shunning, for example. That's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Shawn talked about it this afternoon. You didn't really believe it was actually.
I didn't think it was. I thought it was. So there's movies out there. I won't mention, but there's movies out there where people were shunned for like having Rumspringer or whatever. That I thought the Rumspringer was a joke as well.
Yeah.
So,
and there's so many different types of Amish. Like what I mean by that is like you could go down the list of. I mean there is
Probably more reserved, and then all the way to like less.
yeah.
Reserved.
There's ones that have electric. They have phones,
yeah.
but they don't have cars. They drive tractors.
Yeah.
They're called the New Order Amish. So, but yeah, they wanted a lifestyle. I'll just say here, a practice of avoiding members who were unrepentant of sinful behavior. That was one of the things he wanted. He wanted the lifestyle to be the dress of clothes to be more plain. He wanted it to be a clear, obvious separation from anybody that wasn't Amish or Mennonite. And so that's where it was birthed. The Amish were I guess you call a split off of the Mennonites, and it gets so many people think it was the other way.
Yeah.
Because you'd think if you're more in a cookie cutter environment that you would want to break off from that and maybe stick closer to your roots,
Right.
But be more of modern times,
Right. But
that's
yeah,
how most human beings are.
Yeah, exactly. So I get why people thought. I mean, I understand it. Why people thought the Mennonites were just. Some people call it souped up Amish.
Yeah.
Souped up Amish, but technically it's not. So, but dude, back then, man, the persecution that was happening was unreal.
Yeah. We talked about this earlier. It's like, man, going through, because I watch videos on like history and stuff like that, and I love like listening to stuff like that, but going through, and there was a brutal, like it's brutal, like going through like history and the Roman Catholic Church and like what they did and stuff like that.
It started more like the reason the Mennonites are even in America is because of persecution. So there's a history from the 16th century, 17th century, 18th, 19th, all the way up through. And so in the 16th century, I think it was when they were just overly persecuted, like, and even 17th century. I mean, it was just, I mean, brutally. I mean, this wasn't some of the stories that you hear of the Anabaptists being tortured for their belief and faith in God was unreal. And there's a book, if you ever want to hear the stories, pick up the book The Martyr's Mirror. It's a book where it goes into very detailed description of what actually happened to these people as they were being persecuted. And it's some of the, and I got a couple stories here that I could share then at some point, but it was pretty brutal.
I'm just very interested in that kind of stuff, like our history, really. And so that's why when I like listen to those podcasts and videos about that sort of history, it's like very interesting to like see like, kind of where everybody came from.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that is insane.
Yeah. See back then, because the Roman Catholic group was so tied to the government, they used the government as their way of persecution. So, they themselves may not have done it, but they used the government to carry out their acts.
Yeah.
I mean, they fled to the Netherlands, Germany, to Russia. There's a group called the Russian Mennonites. All the way up into they didn't come to America or until I think it was the biggest group came I think it was the 18th century. Yeah. 18th century is when a big.
So really not too long ago.
Yeah, not crazy long ago when they came, and now they're expanded. It's because global expansion. Like how many Mennonites you think are out there?
It's probably a bunch, but you really don't. I would think I wouldn't know. Like Amish, like you said, it's cookie cutter. They have an image, but like Mennonites, like they could just be all around us, and you wouldn't even really know
realize it as much
unless it was stated to you that this is how we are. This is what we follow. That's like I kind of think of it in my head. Like I'm a Southern Baptist, but like my lifestyle and me being Southern Baptist isn't like an image. I don't,
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, absolutely.
The process,
absolutely.
the thought process of it.
Yeah, well, see, and I want to say this too. Mennonite has zero weight on my faith.
Yeah,
I'm a born again believer in what Christ did for me on the cross. I'm a Christian. Mennonite is only what the lifestyle I choose to live that I feel like currently gets me the closest to what the Word of God says. That's not downing any other denomination. There's good God-fearing believers in any denomination out there that believes in the blood of Jesus.
Yeah, that's how I've always viewed it too. Corey said hi. Hey, Corey.
Is that Corey?
Yep. It says Corey McClendon.
Oh, it's his wife.
Corey.
Oh, it is Corey. Hey, Corey.
And Corey's wife. But yeah, that's how I've always viewed it, because I know there's a bunch of different spin-off denominations from Protestant Reformation, and there's a bunch of Catholics, and I know a bunch of the Catholics. I mean, they'll have classes on how to debate other religions. Like they'll just want to get into it, and I've got into it with them before. But I'm like, at the end of the day, if you believe in your heart, that Jesus died, and it gets you to heaven, we're all on the same page. There's no sense in fighting about it. There's no sense in downing anybody else.
That's right.
Like if you get there, that's the end. That's the end goal.
Yeah.
If you get there, you get there. That's the whole purpose.
100%.
No sense in fighting over it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
and you have different ways of going about it. So I've never downed anyone for doing it any different. And I would debate them on like what I believe in and what I stand on and stuff. But it's just like when we talked with Corey, like he believed in the speaking in tongues and stuff like that. So that's like out of my comfort zone. But I'm not saying that's wrong.
Right.
It's in the Bible. But it's just not something that I've been around much and think I could be a part of, so.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And some of the core beliefs of why the Mennonites or the Anabaptists was, I'll just read here. It says, adult baptism. That was a big one. They felt like, that back the Roman Catholics were,
dunking
babies. Yeah. It says adult baptism, a voluntary conscious choice to follow Christ, then a nonviolent, the nonviolent side, they felt like the Roman Catholics were violent, which they were. and they felt like it wasn't really not the Bible. He talks about turning the other cheek and things of that nature. So that was one area.
That's a lot that I watched on was the like what you just talked about, the Roman like the violence and stuff like that. I watched a bunch of videos on that. I thought that was pretty interesting how we survived those sort of times and stuff like that. And then you told me that like the Mennonites, because I never knew the Mennonites were like involved in that sort of stuff.
Yeah, they were directly. I mean, I got this was just quickly. I pulled like 5 or 6 stories of persecution that happened to the. And this may have been before they were called Mennonites. It still could have been fall under the Anabaptist, which like the Southern Baptists tie back right to that. So it's Dylan, it's your people too.
Yeah,
these people that we're talking about are really your people as well. So there's 2 million Mennonites. It says in North America, Africa, and Latin America.
He asked me earlier how many I thought there was, and I was thinking more of like United States. I wasn't thinking like worldwide like he's talking about. So I was like, I was like 100,000, and he was like, no, 2 million. And I was like, what? And then we started talking about it, and I was like, that's insane.
So like among the Mennonites, do you have like a specific church, like Mennonite church that you go to, or is Mennonite more like
good question,
a group thing amongst your group of people?
There is churches. There are Mennonite churches. Like here in North Alabama, there's Emmanuel Mennonite Church, which is over close to Faultville. And then we have our church is called Faith Haven Christian Fellowship, which is a Mennonite. It's a Mennonite church. It is a Mennonite church. Let's be honest. Let's say for what it is. It's just like Southern Baptist Church. It's just like a Pentecostal church. It's just like but our church and some Mennonites feel different than probably the way we kind of feel. There was kind of a reason we left the word Mennonite out.
Yeah. So you can
because we don't want people to view our faith based off of Mennonite.
Yeah.
We want it to based off of, again, what I said, what Christ did for us on the cross.
Yeah.
And so that's why we kind of, when the church started, we kind of left that out because we felt like when you put Mennonite in, it brings too much attention to the denomination and not to what we actually believe.
Yeah. That's just like when God was saying about being clean or unclean. You can eat clean or unclean. And he's like, everybody. I want everybody. I don't want just my people. I want all people to be included.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, dude, it's crazy though. Like some of the stuff that.
So what, if you're outside of Mennonite, can you become into Mennonite?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How does that put you into Mennonite? Like,
well,
is there requirements, or do you
go
through...
so that's a great question too. So the Mennonites do have what we call a standard of practice. Okay, so what is a standard of practice? Well, a standard of practice, some people call them rules and regulations.
Yes,
there are, and that probably would fall a lot more to your very extremely conservative Mennonite groups and your Amish groups, where they do put a lot of attention on the rules and regulations of what if you have to do this to be. Where the way we would view it, and a lot of Mennonites would view it, is what a standard of practice is we feel like these are the things that will first keep us unified. Paul talks about it all through the scripture about the churches being unified.
Yes.
So what's happened in American churches is there is no unification whatsoever in a lot of churches today. And what I mean by unification where we think similar. Because if you don't think similar, you're gonna argue about it. Agreed? So what our standard of practice does is it unifies us as believers, or as the church, where we do things similar. And it also, our standard of practice, everything that we have in our standard of practice has to have a biblical backing to it. Yeah, like scripture line up to it.
Yes.
Like you read our standard of practice, because we actually have one,
and it all goes back.
And every single thing has a scripture tied to it.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there that's just not scripture tied to it. Now there are probably some things that I know for a fact there's things in there that are not right and wrong per se.
Yeah.
But sometimes they'll put things in a standard of practice because they know that if people get involved in this, where it will eventually lead to.
Yeah, down the wrong path.
You follow me?
Yeah.
So to answer your question, can people from the outside come in? Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's people that attend our church that, don't dress similar to some of the things we do, but to become what we call I think all churches somewhat have membership.
Mm-hmm.
To become a member, there is a form of guidelines that we believe are biblical guidelines.
Yeah.
That we want people to go by. But yeah, absolutely. There's people that that are not Mennonite that join Mennonites all the time.
Yeah.
That's
what I tell people all the time. With different denominations and stuff, and like people will question things about, like, they'll go to this church and this preacher said this, and they'll question it. And I'm like, well, if it's in the Bible, go to the Bible.
Yeah,
if it's in the Bible, it's acceptable. If it's not, then yeah,
exactly.
And the Bible can be determined. Like, people, they think different ways about the Bible, and they translate it in their own different ways. So it can,
I always say this. I'm big about this. I say there are, and Corey, you're listening on here. We talked about this in Africa recently.
There are gift you.
I see that. There are things that are non-negotiable.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Word of God, they're black and white. It don't matter what denomination you're in. It's sin and it's sin.
Mm-hmm.
It's black and white.
Yeah.
Then there's things that are
gray.
In a sense, gray.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. They probably could become sin if you went too far in a certain direction.
Yeah.
But they're not. I get you get what I'm saying. They're kind of here and there, and so I just believe this. The Word of God is the roadmap to heaven, and if you're following it, you're a believer. And if you've given your heart to God, you're a believer. So it doesn't matter what denomination you are, but if you're truly following what's in here, you're good. That's the whole point of it.
So, like, I think my perspective before too, and I think a lot of outsiders' perspective too with Amish and Mennonite is like it's almost like a race, like you were grandfathered in, and you're in this own company of people. In a sense,
it gets viewed as a cult.
Yeah, basically in a sense, but it's like you're like you telling me you can be accepted in. I could see people getting accepted in, but you just kind of see it as a group of people, as a bloodline.
Yeah, and I would admit the Mennonite people could do a better job of witnessing outside of their churches.
That probably comes with the whole.
It is
being more worldly too.
Well, not only that, it's a little bit of it is more of a reserved denomination.
Yeah.
So, for me, I'll share my faith to anybody. It don't bother me. But that's also because I have been into the workforce a lot more. I've ventured out. But there's a lot of Mennonites in churches where they do stay very grouped up, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
Within their own group, so they don't get out very much, and that doesn't mean it's okay, because the gospel is for whosoever will, and we need to get out and witness. We need to get out and witness for Christ, not witness for Mennonite.
Yeah, because that could be a sin within itself if you're stuck on just Mennonite and not the witness, or you're stuck on the fellowship.
You become what's the word? I can't think of it, but it's all about your works, I guess you could say. When works, come with your faith in Christ, they're not what gets you there, I guess is what, that's my belief anyway. So,
anything that comes before God can be.
Absolutely. It's an idol then at that point.
What do Mennonites think about tattoos and stuff?
Well,
are they against it? Is it in the
we
rules?
definitely, we don't condone it.
Harm.
But we do not. I would never
it.
Judge someone for it. Does that make sense? It's one of them situations where would I ever personally get a tattoo? Probably not.
Yeah.
Do I ever look at someone that has that tattoo and view them as look down on them? Absolutely not.
Yeah. But some people probably.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
There's definitely Mennonites and Amish that would probably look down on it. Absolutely. Yeah. But I would say there's probably Baptists and probably
there's all people
Southern Baptists and probably you keep going that would also.
Yeah. That's me, because I have my ears gauged and tattoos and I'll be doing the offering and
Me and
saying the prayer
Taylor-
at church, and I'm always like in my head, but I'm just like, God loves me. I want to be this way.
Me and Taylor, when I started working here, and I told Taylor about everything, and then just everything going on, and she was like, I do. What about tattoos and stuff? I was like, well, Corey's got a tattoo on his arm. He was a pastor. I mean, that's got to be okay. I don't have tattoos, but me and Taylor had thought about getting like a tattoo together to kind of just kind of have like a similar tattoo.
Live stream.
Shawn's
gonna scream.
But I was like, I'll pass out. I'll get like a little dot on my arm. I'll still pass out. So
Yeah.
But we was wondering about like that sort of stuff.
We wouldn't. I'll always be honest. Like you won't go find somebody that was raised a Mennonite to have tattoos. Now I'll tell you this: there's been people that are Mennonite that do have tattoos, though.
That might have come in.
Correct.
After. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So again, it's one of the things. The tattoo on your arm is not going to.
Yeah. Most of the time, I think in the Bible is just talking about bodily harm.
Right.
Because it says something about don't harm your body. Your body is your
temple.
temple.
Is the temple.
So they'll think of it as example. To stay clean and.
That's what I've always been told. I've always been told it's a sin to have tattoos.
Yeah.
And I've never had any interest in getting tattoos. I'm not going to sit here and say I would or I wouldn't, but I've never had any interest in getting. Corey said I do not, but doesn't he have a tattoo right here?
He has a tattoo. I know.
I thought he did.
Corey,
I thought it was
He's
like
fibbing.
you're lying. You have a tattoo.
I thought it was like a bear or a flower or
A
something.
bear.
It was a bear.
He might have drawed it on there.
A bear.
He just every morning he gets up, Sharpies on his.
Yeah.
He's like, "This is gonna look real good
He
today."
says I have to. I see how that is.
Oh, I have
But
two.
it also, a lot of it, in my head too, could hurt your witness to people.
Mm.
People see it and they're like, "Oh, that could be, a negative person." But then I've had like long hair too, and then I've hung out with a ton of people that would like smoke weed and drink, and I'd be with those people. Like I wasn't pressuring them to stop, and they weren't pressuring me to do it. We were just friends. I was just company, and being associated with that company.
Me and Dylan have always
associated me with that lifestyle, also.
Right,
so,
right, yeah, and
that's just part of it.
I think we do well to be careful in the sense of first and foremost the way we view people from exterior sight,
because you don't know their heart.
You don't know. You can have somebody that is tattooed from head to toe, and probably if you're tattooed from head to toe, there was probably a time in your life that you probably went through some rough things. Let's just be honest. That's probably so.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that Christ couldn't get a hold of you and completely change you. Thief on the cross. I mean, think about it.
Last minute
of his life. I mean, so it's. It's heart, man. It's heart. I just say it all the time. It's about the heart, man. The Bible is very clear about that. And again, Mennonites is not it's not a religion. I had someone the other day.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was like. Put it in your head because I guess they would have they're thinking they have their own churches and stuff. That's the same with Amish. Amish is pretty extreme. I'm sure they have their own churches.
Yeah, they have their own churches, but
it's like a lifestyle based out of.
There is not
a biblical template.
There you go. That's it. I would say you actually kind of nailed it. The Mennonites have taken the word of God and said, what is the most literal way to translate it? I'm talking literal in a lot of areas. And let's go with it, because here's the fact. I would rather be wrong in the sense of, again, not works, because works, whatever I wear, whatever I do, whatever I, as far as my appearance does not change my heart, okay? Make that clear. But I would say that so many times there's people that view the Mennonites as a religion of itself. Like I said, the other day I had someone ask me that question. They were like, so, just like Islam, you're a Mennonite. I was like, hold up a second. No, absolutely not. Not like Islam. I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
That's who I am. the denomination, I feel like Mennonite is where I need to be as far as my walk with Christ today.
Yeah. It probably helps a lot too.
Yeah.
If you have a standard and live by that standard.
Yeah, but it can also get in the way.
Yes. If you just stick too much to the standard and not
And focus the standard being your salvation.
before Christ.
Guess what will happen? You'll get to heaven, and like the scripture says,
You did all
I
these
prophesied
works.
in my, God, I prophesied in your name. I did this, I did that, I did all this, and you're saying you don't know me?
Yeah.
Because the heart never changed.
Yeah. Never talk to him.
That's right. That's right. So, anyway, is this where we take a break and breathe a little?
Yeah.
You could tell us some of the stories.
Yeah.
I was just trying to build up in
Yeah.
my head, because that was what was in my head,
Well,
just like
the
following
Yeah, the purpose of this
ins and outs.
Yeah, so the purpose of this video is everybody will have a much clearer head about what it is between the Mennonites and the Amish, and there's like, we started on that subject and, and it rolled down like you have you've cleared the path and through some like this is what you know what I mean.
Yeah. I hope I did it justice, because there is so much history when it comes to it. But to answer it in a simple question, we are believers that Christ died on the cross for our sin, rose the third day, and is seated on the right hand of God. That's who we are, and I must accept him into my heart and be born again and live a life of serving him. That is what we believe, and that's who we are. And anybody can come from the outside, when I say the outside of the Mennonite culture, and be part of it. Absolutely. I know of so many people that have. And it is a simpler lifestyle. There are things that probably would get frowned on, as far as even things that may not be right and wrong, as far as biblically right and wrong, may get frowned on a little bit because of what it could lead to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there probably are things that if you would be a Mennonite that you would give up, in a sense, to be part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, and Amish, I'll say it again, Amish is a split off of Mennonites. Mennonites came first. So let's clear the air on that again.
Yeah.
Because that, again, here's a few things that I think was really helpful in this whole process. So the Mennonites came first, Amish split from them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Amish and Mennonites are not the same thing, but
they believe in the same.
They believe in the same thing.
Yeah.
And then Dylan hit a massive one, which is where a lot of people think Mennonite is a religion or a religious thing, to where like people can't be
Get in.
Mennonite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they can't come in from outside
or get out, or vice versa.
Yeah, I mean that's a
some
false narrative.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of questions there that were unanswered that we didn't even think about, before the podcast, and now they're answered, which is really good.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there ain't a person in our church that won't welcome someone with open arms any Sunday, no matter who you are. You're homeless off the street and never have heard about Christ in your life. We got a seat for you.
Yeah,
we're the same way.
Got a seat for you. So, but
now on to so you have a couple of, so we talked about this before, the what do you call it, the persecutions and stuff like that.
The Mennonites and Anabaptists back in, I would say from 1500 all the way up through 1800 probably.
They had a hard life.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got like a couple stories there for us.
Yeah, I do. I will. There's a few of them that are kind of very. There's especially one that I'm gonna share that's kind of really well known in the Mennonite culture. Mm-hmm. It's a story that really, in a sense, defines our heart for people. What the Mennonite culture, how we view people, and I would say that speaks for 95% of them. There's probably still some out that just like any denomination, there's some that are not so good in the denomination. But there's a story of, man, I don't know which one to go with first. Let me see here. Here we go. We're gonna go with these names are weird. So
It's like same with like reading the Bible, man.
Yeah.
You get in the
Dirk.
Bible and you get tongue tied in there on some of them names.
this one here says his name was pronounced Dirk Willems. It's Williams is the way I say it, but they say it's spelled with a V. Willems.
Willems.
Dirk
That's
Willems.
interesting. Willems.
It says, sounds like villains with a soft V as in village, but it's a W.
Oh, so they give you like they give you like
Yeah.
Next
how
time
to
you
say
see
it.
Taylor, you gotta say Taylor Willems.
Yeah, Taylor Willems.
I'm going to.
That's great. That's great. But anyway, I'm just going to read. This may kind of come more in. I'm going to read some stuff, but so basically, this Dirk, we're just going to call him Dirk. Dirk Willems. This was happening in the Netherlands back in the 16th century. You know, they were being persecuted extremely heavy by the Roman Catholic Church and the Protestant. It says Catholic and Protestant authorities. So I guess, in a sense,
had some too.
yeah, I guess so. I don't know. And Anabaptists were seen as like it was a heresy or whatever for rejecting infant baptism, promoting adult baptism based off of personal faith, and advocating for separation from the state. That was kind of some of the big topics. Authorities issued harsh penalties against the Anabaptist Mennonites, including imprisonment, torture, and execution. That was very, very, very common. So this Dirk Willems, that's how we're going to say it, was, he was a committed Anabaptist. He was from the town of, I don't know how to exactly say it, but Asperen, Netherlands. As an Anabaptist, he believed he was hard. I guess you could say, in a sense, hardcore. About that adult baptism, about nonviolence, about living a simple Christ-centered life. Go ahead.
While we're on the subject of the Netherlands and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
is Cody? Because I've heard him talk about it several times. Is Cody
He was over there.
Yeah, he said he's got like some kind of heritage from the Netherlands or something, and he was over there for a while.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. There's more people tied back to these people than what you'll ever imagine. I'm telling you. I bet you go back in y'all's history, but you got red hair, so you're probably Irish. I'm from Ireland.
My great, not my grandpa obviously, but my grandpa, no, my great grandpa was from Ireland. And that's why we have, like, all the guys in the family on my side have, like, red hair.
So you may not have a history of the Anabaptists, but we'll see. But anyway.
You're still special.
Yeah, you're special.
We'll hit the Irish next week.
Yeah, there you go. And this guy, like, they were viewed as, okay, what would you class as a big criminal in the United States? That you view somebody as a criminal and a high-level criminal? To the point of being put to death.
D.B. Cooper.
Okay, but like what would you say? I mean, of course, murder.
Yeah,
that level, but they were viewed.
Murder's mainly the big one, I guess.
The big one, and I mean, you have all your
thefts.
Yeah, your immoral things as well. Your
death penalty.
Who's the guy that drove the bug and killed all the women? You know what I'm talking about? He drove around like a little Volkswagen Beetle. It's bright yellow, and they made like a whole movie about him.
I have no idea.
Oh man,
maybe you should do a podcast on that.
Yeah,
more history.
Man. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he killed a lot of women, and I just can't remember his name. He was a criminal.
Yeah, but so you viewed somebody like him. I mean, he's deserving of what he's got. In a sense.
Ted Bundy.
There you go.
Thank you, Corey. Appreciate you.
So
Bundy.
Yeah.
Bundy. Yeah. So because of his faith, they viewed him as that level of a criminal because of his faith as an Anabaptist. So how people view this individual, this Ted guy that you're talking about, that's how back then they were viewed as Anabaptists, as Mennonites.
They were more hardcore back then.
Oh yeah, they didn't joke around. It was
Yeah.
it was no
so
joke.
just having that sort of I don't know how to say it, that lifestyle, it was on the level of Ted Bundy.
Yeah, like that's how they were viewed as from the authorities.
That's
were at that level. I mean,
insane.
they even put like groups of the army together just to go find these Anabaptists.
They didn't want anybody believing something different than what they believe.
That's right, because they knew that it would mess up their ultimate goal. Really, just like governments today do as well. I mean, let's just be honest. So
that blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's no joke. Like,
see, I mean, so in theory, if you didn't want to be persecuted or, all the horrible stuff that they put them through, they would, in a way, have to stay like secret of some sort.
Well, yeah, like they got to a point where they were hiding out. I mean, it was at that level. That's why they fled. Like it says the 16th or 1700s is when they started like immigrating to other countries because of persecution.
Yeah,
it got so intense that, I mean, they would come in and kill. Like if they caught these Anabaptists in a group studying the Bible, they'd kill every one of them.
That's insane.
No matter what, you're done.
But that still goes on, like even today, like even in China and all kinds of places where there are people, missionaries out in the field. You still
Islamic,
hear about them
a lot of
because against their way of thinking.
Yeah.
That's what scares me about. Because I've always heard, missions and being here and seeing you guys and your friends and stuff like that doing mission trips and stuff like that. That's what scares me, is being in another country and you're there for a pretty good period of time. Like you, what's the guy 130?
Micah Camper, yeah.
And him being over here, and that's like, I'm not over there, but I'm like, me thinking about him, that's worrisome to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, he's in a country by himself, his family, and he's doing a good thing. He's doing a very good thing. But being over there like that and staying there, like you got to have some guts to do something like that.
And Uganda is actually a very Christian country.
Yeah.
So Uganda is not even that, really I wouldn't consider a country that would persecute Christians, but there's ones where they'll kill them. I mean, there's no doubt. So this guy, this Dirk, he got captured finally. They finally captured him. And I think he was, let me see here. No, he wasn't a previous priest, but he was involved in the Catholic Church prior. But he was captured and imprisoned in this castle turned jail. So it was a castle that they turned into a jail to put these people in. And 100% for, like, he was sentenced for participating in the Anabaptist meetings and practicing their faith. That was his, I guess you could say, crime.
His crime.
His crime.
That's wild.
All he had to do to be released was renounce his faith. That's it. Say, done with it. I won't believe it anymore. I'll support the Catholics and do what the Catholic says. That's all he had to do. That's it. That's simple. Simple, probably 2-sentence thing.
Yeah.
And he'd have been gone. He'd have been set free. But if you're a believer, you die for what you believe. I mean, that's biblical. But anyway, so the castle was like surrounded by like a moat. Back in the day, they had these castles and everything, and
the only way in was like a bridge that would like come down and whatnot.
Correct. Yeah. So Dirk, determined to escape, used a rope from rags to climb out the window. So that's how he got out of his cell, was with rags tied together as a rope. After successfully escaping the prison, the only way he made it across the moat was because it was froze. So he waited until till the lake actually froze over.
Yeah.
So, and it was very thin ice. It wasn't like, and they say that he had lost so much weight, like he was skin and bone. So his weight wasn't an issue crossing that thin ice.
Yeah.
So after successfully escaping the prison, he fled across the thin frozen ice of the river nearby. So as he was escaping, the prison guard noticed that he was escaping and chased after him. It says Dirk, being lightweighted due to poor prison conditions, conditions in prison, managed to cross the ice. The pursuing guard, the guy that was chasing him, the individual that was trying to catch him, was heavier and fell through the ice. Okay. And this is, imagine, I mean, it's ice, so it's freezing, you know, it's freezing cold. And this is where
I always heard that you could get like hypothermia, like if you fell into like the ice. Like you always heard about stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, always, because I see all these videos online of people doing like ice dips where they'll sit in there for like 8 minutes or something like that. I'm like, man, do that not get hypothermia?
like
from
I
that
think
or something?
that's what it is. They reach a point of a little hypothermia, and they act like it feels good. Their body's like, well, I think it is a little bit of endorphin rushes to your. I mean, they say you feel great afterwards. So
I can
maybe I need
imagine.
to try it. So anyway, so hearing when after the guard fell through, this Dirk heard this guy crying out for help.
Yeah.
And as a believer, Matthew 5 verse 44 says to love your enemies. He faced a moral dilemma. He could have continued running and saved himself. He'd have been perfectly fine. But he chose, because of his faith and who he was, and he chose to go back across the ice and save this individual this guard that fell through. And, you know, in my mind, you're thinking, well, if you save this guy's going to let you go, right?
Yeah.
But no, that's not what happened. It says, after Dirk saved the guard, the man wanted to let him go out of gratitude. However, the other authorities arrived and followed orders, recapturing Dirk. The guard was likely torn, but would not defy the will of his superiors. Now, there is a kick or a twist of this story. I don't have the data of this, but they claim that the guard that he saved later gave his heart to Christ, became part of the Anabaptist movement, and actually was a very big pillar in the Anabaptist movement. I don't have much history of that, but that's what have been told over the years and things of that nature. So I don't know exactly if that's true or not, but I thought that's pretty cool.
So him sacrificing freedom for, to save a life, like changed his state of mind. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what us as Christians, I mean, it doesn't say life will be easy. We will be persecuted. It says what is that scripture says? To rejoice in persecution.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's crazy. But anyway, this Dirk guy was then taken back into custody, brought to a new trial. He was, charged with, again, rejecting the state-sanctioned church and its teaching, and he was sentenced to death. That was his sentence. So on May 16th, 1569, they carried him out to a stake, tied him up on it, put wood all around him, and lit him on fire.
That's insane.
100%, because he chose. And again, all it took was him denounce his faith. That's it.
Yeah.
Just denounce your faith, man, and we'll let you go. Here's what's so crazy. The witness reports that Dirk, as he was being burnt, repeated the words over and over and over, "Oh, my Lord, my God," over and over and over and over. And they say that when somebody is burnt, there is no way that you can talk. You can talk.
No oxygen.
Yeah, I mean, so there has to be something tied to what it says in Psalms 23 about, going through the valley of death, I will fear no evil because you'll be with me. I think there's definitely truth to that, and I think these guys experience that over and over. And you read through this Martyr Mirror thing, you see it over and over and over. One gentleman sang hymns as he was being burnt. I mean, how's that possible?
Yeah,
it's like the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yeah, yeah.
We're all burned.
Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah, he says he refused to renounce his belief, left a profound impression on those who witnessed his death. So that that was a big it really demonstrates what a God-fearing believer would embody.
Yeah.
Loving your enemies. Why would you love your enemy? Why would you go back and
denounce?
And take and save this guy that was trying to. I mean, he knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I was.
You're going to end up in a bad place.
Yeah.
Yeah. There had to have been like a thought in the back of his head, like this is not gonna end well for me if I go back and save this guy.
Yep.
And maybe he thought the guard would like let him go, and if he did go and save him or something, but there had to be a thought in the back of his mind.
Oh,
like,
I mean, I would have.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have wanted to run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like with the what was the movie about Columbine?
Mm-hmm.
The first girl that got shot at Columbine is telling her to denounce her faith, and she could live, and she wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't do it.
She perished because of it.
Yep. I mean, it talks about in the Bible that, in a sense, that's one of the most dignified things you can do is die for your faith. And so
a lot of people ain't prepared to do that either.
Well, let's ask the question.
If you're put in that scenario.
I asked the question to myself, am I?
Yeah, I mean, you get put in that situation, it's like,
It's a question that'll make you sweat.
Yeah, it will. I mean, will I actually die? What about if there's stories here where they cut off fingers and they cut
torture.
tongues out and they done all these things
to keep trying.
To get. Yep. And they wouldn't. I mean, I have another story here of a guy that, and I won't have to go into all the details of him, but just the simple basics of it. He came actually directly from the Protestant group. Like this guy actually came more from that side of it. And he was a monk. I guess that's what it's saying here. I don't know. This was in like 1526, somewhere in there, 1527. He was a very well-known Anabaptist. And what they did to him, man, he was arrested in Germany for the same. His wife was also arrested along with others. They were brought before the Catholic authorities for trial, again for heresy. Their charges were rejecting infant baptism, opposing the Mass and Catholic Church tradition, teaching the necessity of living according to God's commandments, encouraging others to refuse or to be non-resistant, and declaring that Christianity should not swear oaths. That was his charges for some things. It says during the trial, Sadler bravely defended his beliefs, engaging with the judge in clear, thoughtful dialogue. He refused to recant, stating that his conscience was bound to the teachings of Jesus Christ and the Scripture. He was sentenced. I'll read it. It actually has a sentence here. This is pretty cool. The court sentenced Sadler to a brutal, gruesome death. The sentence stated, Michael Sadler shall be delivered to the executioners, who shall take him to the square, and there first cut out his tongue. Then he shall bind him fast to a wagon, and there with red hot tongues twice tear pieces from his body, and on the way to the execution site 5 more times in the same manner. He shall tear pieces from his body. Then he shall be burnt to ashes as a heretic. That was the order that was given. I mean,
that's torture.
Oh, that's on another level.
Yeah, that's torture. Like
you're psychotic to even think that up.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy.
Even in this day and age.
Yeah, I mean, it says, as the executioner carried out the sentence, Sadler remained steadfast, reportedly praying for his prosecutors and encouraged other believers to stay faithful. Before the flames consumed him, witness claimed that Sadler raised his 2 fingers in a final sign, signaling his trust in God and victory over death.
That's crazy.
A few days after Michael's execution, his wife was also tried and condemned. Because of her faith, she was drowned. A common execution method for female Anabaptists. Yeah.
Hard times.
Yeah, that's you wouldn't. I don't know.
I mean, right?
You wouldn't hear of anything like that these days. You don't think, right?
No, because too much political correctness in this day and age. Like even with the death penalty on stuff, like they're so soft on a lot of that stuff.
But I believe that we got to remember that we are only. How far are we away from being a Osama bin Laden and all that? All it is being far and being separated from who God is and allowing evil to continue to grow within our heart, we can become that same evil people as these people here without Christ in our heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's facts.
So you're not listening. You're just doing actions and
and so,
even living in sin. You know, you can become blind to it. You can become numb to it. So it's just like, you know.
Well, yeah. Just what's the point? So I always say this. If we're not careful in America, we're not multiple generations. We're a few generations from being at a point of persecution for our faith at a level of torture. I believe that wholeheartedly. If the right people get in power, let's say that.
Yeah.
That's a scary thing to think about.
Just to shut it all down.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but
That's why it's good to learn young too.
Yeah, you're right.
Then that's a big draw away from the next generation. You know, I was raised every day. You know, every time the church door was open, I was there. We were there. My parents kept me there. And it's like even when you get older, like, you know, it says in the Bible, you get older, if you stray away, you always go back to what you knew and what you know, your faith. It'll always bring you back.
I'll ask you a question. Now, I'm just having some fun here. Can you go to church too much?
Church becomes, you know, more important than
I'm
God,
talking attending.
Know?
Like
I've had the same feelings about, you know, being, as long as I think, you know, you have that connection with God. Like I've watched preaching and sermons, but like I think you could still have being fed the word, but I still think you should take action to distribute and get out and do works. You know, it says in the Bible, if you're being blessed, you should in return do works for God.
Yes, absolutely.
But in my sense, like even like when people go like talking about being put out in the spirit and stuff like that, and I'm like, how is going to sleep in the church helping you witness to other people outside of the church? I was like, that's always my thought process.
Yeah, I believe
of that kind of scenario. Like if I'm sitting there sleeping for like an hour out in the spirit or something, like how does that help everybody else? I'm already saved. Like how does that help these other people get saved?
That's
like
right.
From the outside looking in, it's kind of scary.
Yeah. I truly believe that, and I see it happen over and over, where people that you mentioned, you going every Sunday seemed like, or every day when the church doors open. I believe you can, in a sense, it sounds crazy, but I think you can burn people out of church.
Yeah.
You can get, in a sense, burnt out, because there comes a time where you need to get out and witness, man.
Yeah.
I felt like that's what happened to me. We were heavily involved. We were going every Wednesday and every Sunday, and I was doing like the sign art at Temple Baptist, like where they did the sign art language at I don't know how to explain it, but it's just sign art that they do, and then for songs and stuff like that. And then we did it all as a kid. We did it at the church in Holly Pond, that little church there. I don't remember the name of it because I was so little. But we went to Walnut Grove, like over there and around, not in Battleground, like here. It's around here. It's like a Walnut Grove. I can't remember the name of the church, but he was like my childhood preacher. And so we went there for a long time, and then we went to Temple Baptist for a long time. And I felt like because we were there Wednesdays and Sundays, and then like all the holidays, because we would go to the church on the holidays and do all that stuff. And I felt like, I'm not saying I got burnt out on it, but I went so much that when I turned like 16, I was going like, I think it was like 17 when I didn't like intentionally stop going,
right?
But I just like kind of slowed down, and then I felt like we got super busy. Me and Dylan were skateboarding and going out all the time, and we wasn't doing nothing bad. Me and Dylan were the sober ones of the group, but we wasn't going out and doing anything bad. We were just having so much fun, and we wasn't doing bad stuff. We were like just having fun. We were skateboarding, we were racing cars, jumping cars, doing donuts, burnouts, like anything you could do with a car, we was doing it. And I felt like we just fell into that, time. And then I was with Dylan, and Dylan was, super heavily involved with religion and faith and stuff. I was like, I'm doing good. I'm okay. I mean, I don't feel like I'm doing anything bad. So,
Right.
and I would always question myself because my mom was always like, she was like super hard on me with that stuff. She
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
you better not be out doing bad stuff. You know, God's watching. And I was like, Mom, I'm not doing anything bad, right? And like, I'm with Dylan.
What would Jesus do, Shawn?
Yeah,
That's
right.
what we.
I felt like he would have some fun in a Mustang doing donuts. That's how I always looked at it.
I think from my perspective, the structure has to be there, and the passion from the people that you're around has to be there. Because me growing up was a bunch of my learning was memorizing Bible verses. Was heavily in the Bible, memorize Bible verses in order to witness to other people, and like learning about God and growing, you know, in the Word was how I was raised in the church. So I feel like that was good for me, as in growing and knowing and being there. And then also we did like missions. We did mission. We went to New Mexico twice on mission trips, flew out there and did vacation Bible school for Navajo kids on the reservation.
Yeah.
And like they, like, you know, and I knew there's people that went, and that second time we went, they actually let us do it on the reservation at a chapter house.
Oh,
like
wow.
before we'd have to do it off a church, off
Yeah.
the reservation. So like I learned a lot in those terms by being there all the time. And then it's good, like as being older, by knowing other believers and having other people to fellowship with, and then if you need help, like having other
Absolutely.
people to help.
And that's what churches are actually supposed to be.
Yeah,
You know-
and that's how I see it now.
Yeah.
You know, is we have other friends that are believers, so it's like they're not going to lead us down a bad path,
Right.
and you can always count on them to be there for you. And like if you get in a hard time, they can give you good advice. It's good people to
Yeah.
fellowship with.
Yeah. Yeah, there's you know, and the reason I asked that question earlier was because I know of so many people that, in a sense, burned their children out from church.
Yeah, I've heard that. Like,
And-
you
and
know,
it's-
they
and-
were
and I think-
forced to go.
Do you think that's because the parent didn't walk out the life that they were trying to push on the child? I think that's a lot of times what happens.
Yeah, 'cause you hear a lot of kids that maybe had a rougher childhood, and then they're like, well, I was forced to go to church. And like, you know, that would be a good.
Yeah, and then they see their parents not actually doing what they
Trying
hear
to-
in church.
Trying to ride the fence.
Yeah, they're trying to ride the fence, and they're like, well, what's the point? I mean, you know, why would I waste my time at church if I'm not going to do what they tell me anyway?
Yeah, that would definitely hurt their heart on
Yeah.
getting, you know, in that way. If they're not
Yeah.
living that lifestyle, it would be more difficult.
Yeah.
Because I know people like that. They're like, you know, I was forced to go all the time. And now, you know, if people ask why I wasn't there, or if they want to be there and stuff, you know, those scenarios, it pounds on their heart. They're like, you know, which nobody's perfect. I mean, nobody's
absolutely.
perfect. You should try to strive to be better and good every day. But I mean, we all fail. Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect. That's right.
And I think that's good to
Outside
talk
of
about.
Shawn.
Yeah. I think that's good to talk about too. Because like a lot of people, like you'll go in and preach, and the preacher will preach and stuff, and they won't even talk about like personal failure themselves. You won't know that they're like,
They're human, and they're going through it too.
yeah. And then someone like, that's what I like about the pastor we have now. He's he'll tell you straight up, you know, I'm not good at this. I can struggle with this, and like, you know, I'm not good in that area. I'm human. You know, he brings it down to a human level where you don't feel like they're the superior person's talking to you, as like he's another one of you talking to you.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how it should be, I think. I believe too many times the pastors are not teachers. And a teacher is somebody that gets to the same level as a student.
Yeah, and you got to be able to talk about the hard stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Hellfire and brimstone's got to be in there too. You
Yeah.
can't always preach, you know,
You-
rainbows and clouds.
yeah. I mean, so much today is about, you know, this. I call it fake love.
Yeah,
It's not real love. Love is willing to say the difficult things. Love is willing to. I mean, sometimes love hurts. True love, anyway, is what I'm getting at. If I love you enough, Shawn, I'm gonna tell you the truth. If I know something's gonna harm you, would I not tell you the truth? Of course, because that's what real love is. Today, the churches are like, well, you know what? Just do whatever, because God does love you, but He loves you enough that He wants you to do what He's asking.
Yeah. He wants you to do the right thing.
Yeah. I mean,
And
last 10% of the truth is true love. That's what I always say.
yeah,
We talk about that all the time at work.
yeah, we do.
If I say I'm fixing to share the last 10% of the truth, everybody knows. Get ready because it's fixing to get real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was a super good podcast. There was trying to think how to say it. I felt like we did a really good job with the subjects that we had laid out on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all think so?
I think so. I mean, I hope I did it justice.
We did.
Somewhat.
We had like the subjects. We had the explanation behind the subjects. We had a few stories behind those subjects. Like, it was really good. I think so.
Definitely enlightened me a lot more about them because I didn't know like the persecution. I know there's been several denominations with the persecution, but I didn't know with like the Mennonite side.
Mm-hmm.
You'll think about like, you know, with the Protestant Reformation, you know, those persecutions from the Catholics, you always hear about that, but not like a Mennonite angle of a different separation. You know, it's almost like following the witch hunts, you know, claiming people are witches and being thrown at the stake for no reason at all, you know.
Yeah. I also thought that was pretty wild. If that was, you know, if it is, that's a real thing, right?
What?
The witch hunt stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially back in
Salem witch trials and stuff.
Yeah.
So I always thought, I was like, man, it seems so wild to be real. Like, you know what I mean? And then the stuff that I heard about with the Roman Empire and stuff like that.
No, them jokers were brutal.
Yeah. That's why I was like, man, this just seems so harsh to be real. Like, how is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Roman Empire is the one that tortured Jesus. Let's think about it.
Oh yeah.
I
never really thought about that because I was thinking
and it's the same group in a sense. It's the same group that in the 16th
had similar beliefs as to why to persecute others.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's insane.
So,
but thank you for coming on and joining us and
absolutely
explaining all that because like I said, we went into great detail about it and super good.
I hope that I didn't hog all the time, but
no, yeah, you're the guest. You're supposed to. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. This is Clinton Yoder, host of Yoders Talk. The link will be down in the description below. Guys, go check that out. They're fixing to cross 100,000 subscribers, like we talked about.
Go subscribe.
To them. Help them cross.
Make sure y'all get Thought Process as well, because
Thought Process is on Shawn Wayne, the YouTube channel, or my YouTube channel, and that you're watching it on. We do have a TikTok that we're doing the live on right now. If you guys want to see early access, that's with Yoders Talk and Thought Process. You can go follow their TikToks. They'll be linked below, of course. And you'll get to see the live before it is aired. It's a really cool. We answer questions. You'll see that during the actual podcast itself. It's like checking up on, people commenting on our live feed, and we answer questions, stuff like that. So if you want to be a part of that, go check us out. Thought Process, and link again is in the bio, or Yoders Talk link is in the bio. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Clinton, for being here.
Absolutely, it was an honor, guys.
It was awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, Dylan, for co-hosting as always. We'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya.
Peace.